Reigniting intimacy in a relationship is probably one of the most asked about topics that comes up when I work with my male clients, especially when we do our men's alchemy retreat. And yes, with the women, but in a different way, because when we're working with the feminine within a woman and the masculine within a man, these parts of us need different things to reignite that intimacy. And there's this incredible process, and it's actually a 4-step process to do with your partner, and it's on really conscious communication. It's called Imago Dialogue. It's by 2 incredible psychologists that I'll reference in the blog. I have a 5-step version of it that I'm going to teach you today, but I want to talk about intimacy for a second. So men will generally come to me, and often there's frustration, guilt, shame, confusion, and almost like a helplessness in them when their relationships have reached the point where they just feel like their partner isn't interested anymore, that no matter what they do, whether it's like help around the house or try new things, or they feel basically they're at their wit's end and they don't understand why. Nothing is working. And I mean, I could teach weekend, week, month, probably 12-month workshops or programs around this topic, but I'm going to really kind of nutshell it for you to understand that intimacy is actually a communication and a connection issue. Or on the flip side of that, intimacy is not just about sex. It's not just about sexual attraction or reigniting that. It's actually about developing and cultivating an incredible practice of communication and connection and vulnerability and openness, which is the recipe for incredible intimacy. And yes, this will ripple through every area of your life, but in particular, I wanted to approach this topic because 90% of the time, men are like, what do you mean it's about communication and connection? And I just think it's a really important thing to understand for men, and I thought this would be really supportive. So I'm actually going to give you this practice I give to my clients. This practice is very in-depth. And what I want to say as a caveat is that even though these are 5 steps and they're really simple, if you're willing, like if you really, really, really want to go back into the relationship and dive deep and go for gold, then know that you need to be willing to move through the discomfort of this somewhat at first feeling a little bit role play, robotic, a little bit rigid, because it's an actual kind of script to go by. And the steps they might be really simple and seem like, how could this change everything? But when you do it and you're willing to commit to it, and you're willing to do it daily for a while on the kind of just the surface level stuff, what this means is you will actually develop the skill of incredibly powerful listening, deep listening, empathy, vulnerability, openness, connection, which all of that together brings incredible healing, listening, safety, a container, and from that place, intimacy will naturally come and it will grow and it will expand. But you've got to be willing to work with the wobbles, the discomfort. You might need some time out. People may get triggered. You may want to go off track with this, but this is something where I'm all about breaking the rules, and I don't like being told what to do. But if at any point in your life you're going to follow the script, this is it. So I'm actually going to read it to you step by step, and I'm going to put it below on the blog. If you're watching this somewhere else, go to my Amber Hawken website and search for this on the blog, and you can get the steps. So I really want to repeat that it's creating the container of safety and trust where both are open and vulnerable that enhances intimacy. Intimacy problems are connection and communication problems. You sweep stuff under the rug, it all builds up and everyone shuts down, locks out, taps out. So let's do this. What I want you to first basically, my suggestion is to do this on your day, to debrief on your day before you kind of tackle sensitive topics. You can go for the sensitive topics if you want, but you might if someone gets triggered, you might need to take a 20-minute time out and come back. Just know that. I would practice debriefing for, say, a week, and doing this for a week with each other, just on like your day, and then moving into topics that are more tender. So essentially, you guys sit down, you have 10 minutes or 20 minutes, you do it at the end of your day, and you sit down, and one person takes the role of the sender, as in they're the one speaking, and the other one is the receiver, and they're the one who responds, and then you switch at the end. The very first step is essentially the sender expresses how they feel. So they may share like, so today, this happened, I felt this way, these are my thoughts, this is what I'm going through, and they finish. They just speak really simply, clearly, straightforward, and then the receiver replies, and they just mirror that back. So you literally say, so you felt or when this happened, and you mirror it back. You cannot change it. You can't like manipulate it a little bit, because when you get to the tender topics, if they're sharing, when you did this, I felt, and you say, oh, so that felt like this, and well, and you put your input into their experience, you're missing the point. This is about deep listening and a reflecting of their experience to them without your interruption, interpretation, distortion, nothing. So you just mirror back exactly what they said. And then step number 2 is to check if it's correct. So you mirror it back, you say exactly what they said back, or a summary of it, and you check, is that correct? If your partner says no, and then they say it again, there's no need for you to be offended. You just wait for them to say it, and then you repeat it back. Is that correct? And when they say yeah, you go, okay. And step 3 is to acknowledge it. So it's acknowledge and validate. So this is where you put yourself in their shoes, and you say something like, I can really see how you feel that way, given that like this happened, or you kind of relate to their experience. You're not so much empathizing yet. That's the next step. You're just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, that makes sense. I get that because this. And then this step is the extra step that I think is really important, and probably does the most healing, especially for men, is when, like if they're the one sharing, is when you then ask and prompt, is there more to that? So you encourage, so is there more to that? And they might go, yeah, well, and then you start from the top. So then you reflect that back. Okay, you mirror that back. Is that right? Cool. Then you validate. I understand how you feel that way, or I understand blah, blah, blah. Is there more to that? And so once you ask, is there more to that? And they go, no, you go, okay. Then, and only then, is when you can, in a way, kind of seek a solution. But when I say this, I want to be really, really clear, is that even if you're seeking a solution and your partner says, well, yeah, I'd love to brainstorm on this, or I would love if you could do this different, or I'd love if we could have more of that. When you receive that as the receiver, you have every right to simply sit with that and take that in. You don't have to, that doesn't mean that you have to do that thing. But what this is doing is paving the way to understanding deeper desires, wants, and needs that can then be discussed. Basically, it allows the truth to come out, the feeling to come out, the other person to be fully heard and received. Then you switch roles. So that 5 step is like seek a solution. You can say, can I help in any way? What did you want to happen? Or what did you want to do about that? Or would you like to build on that? Or would you like to celebrate this somehow? So, and then you just wait for them. They might say, no, I'm good. Or they might say, yeah, like, can we talk about it like this? And if you're debriefing the day, it's usually not personal at all. And there's usually no one's triggered because it's they're debriefing their day. When it comes to the more intimate stuff, and it might be a really strongly charged topic, when this person asks for help, if you're the one who was sending and saying, this is how I felt, and your partner asks, can I help with that? And you ask them for something, do that with the willingness to not get what you want, but just with honoring that you're expressing what it is that you want and need. That's the step there. The step there isn't to solve the problem. The step is to open it up, right? So I want to kind of just go back over really quick, and then you guys swap roles, especially when you're when you're debriefing your day. You can swap roles straight away. My suggestion is, and this is a suggestion from an incredible kinesiologist counselor that I know, have seen, has taught me so much. His name is Gordon, and I'll reference him in the blog as well, so you guys can look him up. He doesn't do a lot of work anymore, but he's still out there, and he's an absolute legend and genius. When you do deal with the bigger topics and start to unpack triggering topics, he suggests, and I suggest, because I've done this before and I thought at first, why is he doing that? And then I did it and I was like, okay, I get it. Just go one person at a time. So if you're touching on something like infidelity or intimacy or a repetitive pattern that's really painful, or something that's really charged about kids or family or needs not being met, anything really tense and tender, then just let one person express and one person like mirror it back, and then wait 24 hours and do the other. There's a couple of reasons for this. One is usually things are really heightened and it can create a fight, but if you guys both agree, we're just doing this person today, we're not here to solve problems, we're here to begin opening and discovering, then both of you are on board with that, both of you are in agreement with that, then you have permission, and the other party has permission in case the other one tries to push, to go, no, we made this agreement, we'll come back to it tomorrow. And you actually leave it there. You don't go on to discuss it, you just leave it so that both parties get the chance over a 24-hour period to express what they want and need. The step number 3 in acknowledge, I want to go back to, it's an acknowledgement, but it is an empathetic. I think I made a mistake when I said don't do empathy there. It is empathy, but I want to be clear about when you're validating them, don't make it up. Okay, you don't want to be sympathetic, like, oh, you poor thing. It's like, put yourself in their shoes and really feel like, that makes sense because, or I completely understand how you feel that way. And especially if it's a tender topic, you're going to have to be humble and open your heart. And because a lot of the time, conflict is happening because people aren't seeing the situation from the same perspective. This is a really deep willingness to open up and be open to someone else's world and honor that. When you honor someone else's feelings, this isn't you guys trying to blame each other or point fingers. This is a willingness for you to listen and see and connect with each other's world on a deep level. So when you empathize, it's really put yourself in their shoes. I get why you feel that way, because, and be honest about it. Or you could say, I don't really understand. Could you actually explain that to me in a different way so I can better understand? Your willingness and your opt into this, both parties, is everything. If there's not a willingness, if there's like oh, this is stupid, I get it. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like rigidity. But above anything else, I would say, because in every relationship there's each party and then there's a relationship, it's a third. It's like him, her relationship, or her relationship, or him relationship, or they relationship. There's always 3 parties. This is tending to the relationship together. If you've got one party on board and the other one half in, it's difficult. So I guess what I want to say to the person who's like, oh, I don't know, how important can you put that discomfort or that reservation or that hesitancy or that skepticism aside for the sake of the love and the love and the connection, but most of all, the thriving relationship that you desire deep down with this person? Can you just be willing to give it a go? If you're willing and you're in, nothing can stop you. And this will ripple into every aspect of your life. You can then use this with your children. You can use this with the people that you work with. You can use this with your clients. And you'll actually understand what listening and connection and holding space really means. So if you're a couple, then I challenge you to do your debrief for 7 days, just at the end of your day debrief for the 7 days where both parties go, and then begin on those tender topics. And if you are and you find success with this, please email and let us know. I absolutely love this, to find relationships evolve and heal and transform. I think it's the most beautiful thing ever. And I'll pass on my credits to Gordon, who this is his specific script that he's taken a variation from the 2 psychologists that I mentioned in the blog. And I just want to honor you for your willingness to do this, because most people would shut down, turn away, and they'll try and solve their intimacy issues by outsourcing or tapping out. So go you, this is big stuff, and this is incredibly powerful healing work, not just for your relationship, but the generations to come.